Okay, I'm back. This is where we left off at the end of part 1 of this video. So we're picking it up back here, and if you missed part 1 or you'd like to go back and watch it again, there's a link in the video description box right below this video. So we're going to continue on. I started and I thought it was easiest to go around the whole perimeter first with my background. And I'm glad that I chose the light because, as you can see, a lot of this background is showing through, and I really like that. It gives a lot of cool texture and a little bit of color into the background. The other thing is grab a angle brush. It's way easier to get around the curves if you put the point of the long point right against the line. It's pretty easy to get a pretty clean line. If you don't, and you go into one of your circles with your background color and it really bothers you, just grab a Q-tip. You can see I've used it. Dip it in a little bit of alcohol. You don't want it sopping wet because you don't want it to run, but just get it wet with alcohol, and wherever you've gotten your acrylic inside there, the alcohol will take it right off. This I discovered too. I got a couple of double lines when I was tracing my objects, making my circles, and the alcohol will also take the pigment liner off. So it's an easy way to kind of just, you know, clean up a little bit as you're going if that happens and it bothers you. The other thing I discovered in cleaning up some lines is, even if I can get this up here where you can see it, even if you don't have a bad line, if you go just outside the circle and lift some of that background, you can get kind of a cool shadow effect like that. So that's another thing. So I just thought I would come on while those things are in my brain because they leave quite quickly these days. So I'm going to go back off camera and finish filling in around the inside of this, and then let it dry. Whoops, sorry. And then let it dry for a little bit, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've painted around everything, and I decided where the circles overlapped, or where there was a circle within a circle, that I would paint that the background color too. I'm not sure if I'm happy about that decision, but I'm going to go with it. If I had to pick a favorite, I really like this one because I like these little alcohol dots in here, and I like that I put this inclusion circle off center. It's not centered. And surprisingly, I like this one too. I like this little bit of texture that was kind of outside of the main painting area, where it was just kind of, you know, lost off to the edges. But I like this section right there. So you could stop here, you could cut this up, you know, make tags from it or card fronts, or cut a piece and adhere it to the front of an art journal, whatever you wanted to do. You don't have to go any farther than this, but I'm gonna, because, you know, that's kind of how I roll. I just keep going and going. One of my favorite YouTube artists is Creations by Cece, and she's primarily a watercolorist, but she does some really cool abstracts with doodles in them, and they're really, really soft and pretty because they're done with watercolor. But I thought, you know, why don't I just try and take some of those techniques into this and see what happens. So I think I will use my Stabilo all pencil and create some shadows. I'll try it on a couple, and if I don't like it, I can probably just wipe it off. And then I have 2 Posca pens, fine tip Posca pens, a black and a white. And I have my set of Staedtler pigment liners. This set has a variety of tip sizes from 0.05 to 0.8, so quite a nice variety of sizes in this set. And these work pretty good on top of acrylics. Some of the pens that I've tried just really don't, or they'll work for a little bit and then they get clogged for some reason and then I quit writing. These seem to work okay. These I'm not sure about. These I think are Derwent, if I'm not mistaken, but they're gray. So there's a 0.3, 0.5, and a 0.1 in here, and I may use this maybe just to do something around the outside edges. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what I pulled out. Yeah, I'm just going to play. I'll film some of it and fast forward some of it and maybe just, you know, jump cut from one section to another on some of it, because this is going to be a long process to do what I think I want to do. So I'm going to start out just by trying to do some shadowing with the Stabilo. My setup is weird here because in order for me to work I have to pull this down here. Let me see if I can move my camera over a little bit. Bear with me. There, I guess that's a little better. As long as I don't knock it off the doohickey, we'll be okay. Alright, so then I can sit down because I really do need to sit down. I'm going to, just so you know, I'm going to use this Liquitex matte medium. It's the liquid, they're the fluid matte medium, to activate the Stabilo instead of water. That way it's permanent. That might be a mistake. Oh well, whatever. It is what it is. We'll just see what happens. Alright, here we go. Hopefully my head won't be in the way. I'm just gonna, first of all, I guess I should decide where my light source is so that I get like all the shadows on the same side. So I guess I'll just go on the right. And I'm just gonna follow this along a little ways around, like that. Some matte medium. Alright, it's not going to open that way. Give me a little bit on my palette here. And I have a smaller angle brush that I'm going to just wet with the matte medium. May tap a little bit of it off. And I'm just going to walk this around where I put the Stabilo. It's not moving like I would like it to. I would like it to move out. Let's see. Sorry. If I can push it out this way. And I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I guess once I have it in my brush, I can walk it out a little bit. At least it worked that way up there at the top. I could probably pick some up on my brush. Yeah, I don't know if I like that or not. I might just maybe go around the small circles that are on the outside. I think that's what I'm going to do. And what else I'm going to do is, I just have a scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to put the Stabilo down on there. And just with half of my brush, I'm going to pick it up. And I think that'll give me a better shadow. Let's see what happens here on this one. The matte medium seems to be drying really fast. before I can actually get it moved out very much. A little bit. It's not that important, I just wanted to really try it. It is a much smoother shadow than what I got over here. I don't know if I can go over this one maybe. It's already dried. Now if I had activated it with water, I would be able to come back in and just wipe it off. But I kind of wanted it to be. I'm going to check and see if everything's on camera here. These ones at the bottom weren't. That's where I'm going. Okay. And notice how I'm turning my brush over. I want to keep that long point right up against the edge of that circle, because that's where my Stabilo is. It's on this side of the pointed side of my brush, the long side of my brush. And just so you can see, I'm putting matte medium in my brush and just going back and forth here, so that I'm just picking up the matte medium, or the Stabilo, just on the one side of the brush. That way I don't get a line. The darkest goes down against the circle and then just kind of diffuses out. There was a bit of a line on that one. I'm just kind of coming in and dry brushing this a little bit out further. There's not much left in my brush at all. Well, it's just kind of fun to play, you know. It just is. Okay, clean this up and then get ready for what comes next. Okay guys, I'm really sorry, but I didn't notice that my camera battery was extremely low, so while it was charging, I got to start on what I was considering doing with my pens. So I started down along the edges and up here along the top edge with the gray markers. I think you can see that it's lighter in color as opposed to the black one. But I just kind of went along and doodled along there just to get some pattern there. And then I went around the outside of all the circles with the black Posca paint pen. This is the fine tip paint pen. And then what did I do? I just proceeded to do lines and dots and patterns here and there. Then I switched to the white Posca pen, same fine tip, and just lines and dots basically here and there and everywhere. I'll lift it up. I'll put some still photos at the end so that you can see this better. I don't know if you can see, if I can get this close and focus it. There we go. Right here, I just put the white, I drew circles and then filled black in around the circles and shapes, and then just put a little bit of white inside just to kind of contrast with the color that was left in there from the circles that I drew. That's the color, that outside edge is the color that was there to begin with. I did that there. I did it here with the stripes. That center part is just where I filled in with that unbleached titanium, remember? I just thought that was kind of cool the way that turned out. These ones up here too, right there. Some of them, you know, I like the way they are, so I just left them without really doing anything much to them, like this one here, this one. So, you know, just go nuts, basically. Just do what comes to you, what feels right to you. Experiment. Use different kinds of pens and markers, and you could even stencil, you know, lightly stencil with a very dry brush inside so that some of the color shows through, but you have the pattern. You could use a stamp and stamp images inside or even around onto the background. What I wouldn't do again is this pattern. I don't like it, but you know, it's there now. I wasn't crazy about how this outside turned out either. But I'm going to just keep going and probably add a little bit more here and there. And like I say, I'll put some still pictures at the very end of this video so that you can see how it all turned out. If I decide to cut it up and do something else with it at some point, I'll come back and show you. So thanks a lot if you made it this far. Thanks for sticking with me and stay until the end. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with someone else who you think might like it. Share it to your Facebook friends or your Instagram friends. And if you're not a subscriber, consider maybe subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when I upload new videos. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.